All right, all right, all right. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for wasting your time on me. And as long as the wind's been picking up fairly steady, but as long as it doesn't get terrible, I think I'm going to take the drone out and we'll maybe try and overlay some stuff. So here is my trial field. Everything outside of that red orangey flag that way, and that one that way is 3L. What the hell is it? It's Invigor L340 PC. And I wasn't necessarily impressed with it off the get-go, but boy, is it looking solid right now. And emergence is quite even, which is very, very pleasing. All right, so got field view out. They are showing a few areas where there's lower biomass, and for the most part, I believe it. There's a couple spots at the beginning of these trials where we didn't prime. Dad and I thought about that a little too late. We're like, ooh, that might not show up very good. But we did kind of see some. Obviously, here is one of them. And there's another over there. There's a dribble of seed, so it might compete just enough, but you get 100 yards out and it's all the same. So right now I'm standing pretty much dead center of the trial. Well, dead center of the edge of the trial. Obviously, this is a spot we forgot to prime. And the importance of priming is that we know that we've got seed immediately as soon as we turn on those clutches. So let's go to the far end and we'll see what we can see, and we'll work our way one way. But I'm very pleased to see that all of the canola, regardless of which variety it is, compared to our checks and whatnot, so far the maturity is very close. They've all been staged about the same. I didn't have to worry about doing anything special for spraying. And boy, are they all, I'm loving the look of all of the canola this year. So yeah. If we get a couple good rains, we should be styling. Take a look around. Beginning of the trial, right there. Right there. So this row goes that way, this row this way, meaning that this and the rest of the field is L340 PC. It came out last year. I wanted to get my hands on it, couldn't. Lots of people got it and seemed to really like it. I'm liking what I'm seeing, but everybody's canola around here looks really, really good. Big, beefy, cabbagey, thick leaves. As you can see, it's starting to bolt and starting to flower. And it's quite, I wouldn't say it's perfectly even staging, but it's very, very good. So this next variety is, this is Dekalb, what do they call it? True DKTF 21SCs. And you can see, I don't know if you can see, I can see, there's just, I don't know if it looks to me like it's just a hair more even on the staging, just a hair, and I'm talking 10%. And the ones that are of the same height, like that one and that one, you're seeing, 90% less flowers This is just straight up observational, guys. I'm not trying to be an agronomist about it. I'm just trying to say what I'm seeing right now. Overall, this stuff looks, I would say, a bit better than the Invigor stuff. Looks to be a little more even emergence and bolting. I would have to say 60% to 70% is bolted and at the same stage. There are some spots where it's a little less, but the variance isn't extreme. And it seems like what has bolted, less than 1% of it has started to throw some blossoms. The next variety, as you can see being a line up there, I got to get my phone out so I can remember. Pretty comparable to the 340. That's all I got. It's a little more variance compared to the 21. It's so neat how you can see the perfect line in the field. And we get over to this one. This is a little bit, it looks different. I don't know how to say it. The plants look smaller, but not unhealthy. The leaves look smaller, but again, not unhealthy. We're seeing a little bit of flower here and there. Yeah, this is, I would say, definitely comparable to the 340 as far as evenness of timing. It just seems like the leaves are a bit smaller. They don't look unhealthy at all. Isn't that neat? Got a droplet of water trapped there. Huh. This stuff, little bit behind, if I'm being honest. Most of the others are starting to bolt significantly, as in 50%, 40-50% plus. I would put this down around the 20 to 25%. The hilltop, where things are a little bit drier, a little bit warmer, a little bit more flower there. Not a whole lot though. So all three of these are experimental, if I remember right. So they don't even have a name to them. So they're like EXP1, EXP2, EXP3 in my climate field view. This, again, is a bit further behind. And to me, the leaves look a little bit different. Not a whole lot. They don't look unhealthy again. It just seems like they have more texture to them as far as ripples on the edges, versus a lot of them just look, the bigger ones over here look smoother. Not loving this. It's taking a bit longer for the rows to fill in. Very little bolting. You know, up on the hilltop where things are a little drier. I shouldn't say very little, but much less. Like, we're probably only in the 10 to 20% bolting and very, very little flowering. A lot of it is just getting ready to bolt. Like, that hasn't even really come out of the boot. Doesn't look terrible. And holy crap, what a difference right there. If you can't see that, this is way behind this stuff. This is 2-3 days. Like, you're seeing less than 1% bolt. Doesn't look unhealthy. It's just kind of slow getting going. I can't see any difference of cropping or bolting stage difference, but there's definitely a color difference between one side and the other. This is more of like a lime green, like if you cut a lime open and you're looking at the flesh of it, versus this would be almost that darker emerald green of the lime skin, if that makes sense. Staging, again, it's a bit slow. It might even be, you know what, now that I really look at it, I'm gonna say it's a little bit behind that one as well. The plants don't look as vigorous, for lack of a better word. The leaves are a lot smaller on average, and they seem to be turned a bit. They feel pretty good, to be honest. They're quite leathery. It's just they haven't cropped over all that well. And yeah, it's really interesting because you're seeing a lot of the leaves being turned over instead of wide open to the sun like that. And that's what's making it seem that different shade, is that they're blowing over. So maybe they definitely could use rain. It's probably hurting a little bit for moisture, a little bit of stress, and it's just not as strong. Yeah, I still think it hasn't filled in quite as much as it should. More of this would be okay. And now we're getting into the last variety. Not really sure what to think. Definitely a change right there. Definitely doesn't look, well, you can see the color change, that's for sure. A lot more flower, a lot kind of spindly looking plant. I'm not overly impressed with it. But give it time, we'll see what happens. One rain, even though they're not forecasting anything, could make a big difference. And here's something we should check out too, is that as we get to the end of our trial, right there, we're getting into the 340 again. It doesn't look that particularly impressive right here either. So, hard to say what's going on. You know what matters at the end of the day is bushels. And we won't know that for a long time. Still got to get through the worst part of summer without getting burnt up. And like I said, they're not forecasting a whole lot right now. And without, running into a hailstorm. I don't know what to say, guys. As far as the plot is concerned, it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's showing different varieties side by side. Now, I really need to explain the point of this trial, is that it's not just to show who makes more bushels. It's bushels, it's pod shatter integrity, it's disease tolerance. Well, if it keeps being bone dry like we're having, disease isn't going to factor into this trial. But the big thing is that at the end of the day, I can go, all right, I had this 340 and it did this. And I know what it did on the rest of our farm, so I got a good average for it. And in a side-by-side trial, Dekalb A did 1.1 0.04 times, or like 104%, or did it do 93%, or whatever. And when that's all said and done, I can go and say, yeah, even with the pod drop, because the Liberty stuff is still supposed to have better pod drop integrity, or pod shatter, true pod shatter. Yet the Dekalb stuff, and I haven't priced any of this side by side, so I don't know. But at the end of the year, I can go, oh, well, for the $9 an acre difference, or whatever it comes out to be, it might be worth it. Because if it's 5% difference at 40 bushel, that might sway you one way or the other. We'll see. Because 5% of 40 bushels too. Okay, I had to move inside. It's just, there's too much glare out there to see. Probably even better if I do that. So I'm currently hovering right above the truck. Go. There's me. And we're a little bit above the power poles. You can see a couple spots where I turned, or somebody turned. And we're just going to take an overhead view of this plot here. I'm going to try and take a few screenshots. Get up nice and high. So you can definitely see, whoa, don't change the lighting. You can definitely see this end. We had a lot of spots where we didn't prime. And that's 100% on us, because we don't normally do those full cleanouts. So I'm gonna try and pan all the way across so that you can see everything. So right in the center of the screen there is the beginning of the trial. Right there. So if we look up, you can definitely see the color change in varieties. As we pan over, it's quite interesting to see the variation. You can see a lot of the stuff at the top of the screen there, that had to get disked up last fall because it was just wet. As I'd already mentioned, straight below us is the rookie mistakes of not priming. So I'm just going to move forward a little bit. So we'll start panning from one side to the other. Definitely notice some variations in the crop. Definitely different colors, and without going out and walking, I would say without a doubt that would kind of coincide. The lighter colored stuff is the stuff that's more flowered. As we look the entire length, still a little bit of haze in the air. You can definitely see the differences in color, which is kind of neat. We're gonna go boot her down the field. I still got 60% battery. So you can see that the three on the right finish in the middle of the field. Not middle, but we only had enough for about 4 acres of variety.